All right, trade pros, good morning. It's Wednesday, May 27th of 2020. Hope you guys are having a spectacular day to you and yours. We got a great morning market update for you today. We got a lot to chat about. Markets are getting a little bit of volatility this morning. We'll talk about why and a few important factors you should be watching. First, I want to introduce a little segment we call the Power 60 headlines. It's 60 seconds or less things going on in the news cycle that won't necessarily affect the markets right away, but are interesting to follow. All right, so without further ado, the Power 60 is here. All right, Power 60. SpaceX will launch the first private flight to space today, beating Boeing and their intentions to do it. This is a historic moment. I think the blast off set for this afternoon. All right, in other news, Trump fires back at Twitter for interfering in the election, in his own quotes, after they applied a fact check model Twitter did on his tweet about mail-in ballots. He said there's going to be significant fraud in the mail-in ballots in the tweet, and then they put in a little link that says fact check, and then when you click it, it says mail-in ballots is a blah 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 process. And Donald Trump said, this is not acceptable. You're filtering the media, and you are interfering in the election. All right. In other news, Hong Kong police fires pepper spray as protests intensify in Hong Kong, fighting for their freedom, understandably. And last but not least, Boeing is set to lay off 1,300 workers in Seattle on granted buyouts. All right, companies up 16% on the good news. It's not good news. Let me rephrase that. It's my first Power 60. Be patient with me. It's not good news for the 1,300 people at all. Shareholders look at it as a cost-cutting measure, and so it is viewed by the market as a temporary positive as they're kind of cutting back their expenses because they have no revenue at all. All right, but the 1,300 people primarily in Seattle, love, joy, and happiness, and to a new beginning and a new opportunity for you. All right, now let's get into the markets. That was the first Power 60. China this morning, Global Times, in the Global Times press, says that China has sufficient tools to exert financial pain on the U.S., such as including dumping of its massive holdings of the U.S. dollar-denominated treasuries and assets if U.S. carries out threats against Chinese companies and tariffs. All right, Donald Trump was asked in an interview, will you be applying new tariffs to China? He did not respond. All right, and it's an interesting response to not respond at all. All right, so that's kind of spooking the market a little bit as we head into the end of this week, and it's a shortened week because of the holiday on Monday, Memorial Day in the U.S., the bank holiday in the U.K. All right, so because of the shortened week, and we have had a lot of upside, we're above the 3,000 marker on the S&P. It's a very important level because it's a 200-day moving average on a daily chart. All right, that needs to hold as support. We're above it at the moment, but we're back and filling it, which means we're pulling back off of the overnight rally. So we're resuming the trend of overnight upside, early morning weakness, continuation back to the upside. Yesterday, we had said sell rallies. If we can't take out this 30-20 level, keep selling rallies, and it worked. All right, this morning, overnight, we're above that level, and we've pulled back to yesterday's highs. This is a key support structure that we're going to continue higher. We need to hold. If we hold it, we'll be jumping on the long side. If we break down below these 19s, I think a sell-off down to the 3,000 for another retest, the 200-day moving average, is just and expected. All right. In other news to this, all right, there's another story. It's one thing to listen to what people are saying, and it's another thing to see what they're doing. All right. That's very important. And what you need to know is here's what's happening with the Chinese yuan. This is the currency in China. All right. There's a renminbi as well in the yuan. One's onshore, one's offshore. So the Chinese yuan is one that only the government has access to. We as outside people can't invest in it or purchase it. All right. It is fixed in the beginning of this session, usually 8 p.m. Eastern time in China by the government. And there's a band that they set. All right. So here's what happened. It's trading currently at 7.178, the Chinese yuan is. And last time this happened, we traded as high as 7.1959. All right, on September 3rd of 2019. This is when trade tensions were at their peak. All right, if you guys remember when the trade war started, the currency being devalued, the yuan, is what set off a lot of the Trump administration to label them a currency manipulator. Their currency is super important because the scale, it's US versus Chinese yuan, which means, all right, that as the US dollar goes up, the yuan is going down. Or alternatively, if the yuan's going down, the USD CNH rate is going up because it's inverse relation shipped. Right, I'm going to make a verb out of that. And so, at 9:45 p.m. Eastern, the yuan tumbled 250 points in mere minutes. And people are wondering, is China up to something behind the scenes with their currency? All right, this isn't going to excite Donald Trump the least bit. This is an escalation to the tension. And I think most traders missed that event. It's like as if though it never happened and they wouldn't have even known about it. But China's up to something behind the scenes. And this is certainly going to prompt some kind of response from Donald Trump. And so traders this morning look at this and say, look, I got to take some profit. All right, we're trading above 3,000, 3040 or 3040 on the ES was my weekly level, my target to the upside. We're just about there. We hit the 35 at the overnight high. And so we look at this, it's a shortened week. All right, China is devaluing their currency, which isn't going to cause anything positive. All right, this might prompt a Donald Trump response. It could be new tariffs. All right, we're going into a weekend, and so institutional money that's been long at this complacent high level is offloading a part of their position, as they should be. All right, and so for that reason, I think we see a little bit of selling today on the opening bell. Be careful. I think we're going to see some offloading of shares, early morning dump. If we can hold support at 3,000, great. Otherwise, we could continue lower. Going to be very cautious on the long side. If we see the right things, we're obviously going to get long. We're not here to fight the trend, but we're here to know that there is a higher likelihood today of this trend breaking down. Upside overnight on very low volume is going to be tested on the open. All right, so watch out. That's big news. Why is China devaluing the yuan? Well, in order to make their trade advantage and be more competitive in the global space, as demand resumes, China wants to get back and grab the market share and make their goods more, raise the appetite for their goods because they're cheaper in yuan terms. Very interesting stuff happening. If you want to follow this, the symbol is USD CNH on TradingView. This is the US dollar versus the yuan. The higher it goes, the weaker the yuan is. All right, if you put this symbol into TradingView or any other platform that supports currencies. All right, the lower it goes, the yuan is being strengthened, the dollar is losing steam against it. This is a proxy. If you flip it CNH/USD, then it's a positively correlated proxy. All right, USD CNH is inversely related currency. What you could do also is do 1 divided by and flip it. All right, depending on what platform you're using, there's different ways to go about it. Keep an eye out on this. I'm going to be watching it today throughout the trading night. I think it's very, very important. In markets today in Asia, Japan is up 0.7, Hong Kong's down 0.4, China's down 0.3%, India's up 3.3. All right, in Europe at midday, London was up 1.2, Paris is up 1.7, Frankfurt's up 1.6. All right, this is after the European Commission announces a $750 billion European recovery fund from the coronavirus. How is Europe going about it? Europe is doing it a little bit different. They're not going to go out there and just print the money and circulate it. They're actually going to raise the funds on the open market. All right, which is very interesting. They're saying, look, we need money. We don't want to just print it. We're going to raise it on the open market, see what kind of demand we get. The biggest benefactors of this are going to be Italy and Spain. So whoever purchases or funds the stimulus package is getting exposure to Italy and Spain the most. Then France, Poland, Germany, Greece, Romania, and Portugal are way lower. Italy and Spain are about to get 80 billion euros each under this proposal. All right, that's putting life into the European markets. That's why they're up overnight. In other news in Europe, it's a very heavily Europe-saturated update today. All right, Christine Lagarde said that we're currently living out the most optimistic scenario. All right, growth is likely in the range of the medium and severe scenarios, meaning that growth has recovered faster. All right, it's a pretty positive outlook. She also had some really dark things to say, but overall, what's happening, she's acknowledged, is more positive than they had expected. One of the more positive scenarios in their book. All right, which is also putting some further upside to the European markets. The U.S. appreciation this morning was on the back of positive news flow from Europe. All right, now this devaluing yuan. All right, this China comment this morning about it's a pretty aggressive stance to take to say that they have sufficient tools to exert financial pain on the U.S. and threaten to dump Treasury securities. All right, this hasn't been factored in yet. Right, when the U.S. market opens, we could see a wave of selling. Be very cautious. All right, in the U.S., Dow's up 1.4, was up 1.4. All right, now up just under 1%. Same with S&P and Nasdaq. All right, crude oil this morning is down 1.2%. But let me see what the open of the session was. Open at 33.40. All right, we're getting a little bit of a push off of that. We're up to 33.60 at the moment. So crude oil is regaining some of its losses. Gold had a huge wave of selling out of nowhere in the futures market. All right, this took place around 6 a.m., big downside very quickly. And so we're seeing some activity, some very interesting activity. All right, Bitcoin's up 2.6 above 9,000. In this morning's update, we had mortgage applications at 7 a.m. All right, that came out surprisingly well. The purchase index was at 281 versus 258. So there are more home buyers than expected and then the prior period. So there is a resumption in that trend. All right, the mortgage market index came out higher. Mortgage applications are up 2.7% versus minus 2.6 the week prior. Right, so we're getting a rebound in people filing for mortgage applications as well. All right, the refinance rate was lower, which is good. All right, if your people are buying or applying for a mortgage application, but they aren't refinancing as much, means they're not using equity to purchase the home. All right, very important, showing a little bit more of a positive sentiment. And the U.S. 30-year mortgage rate was at 3.42%, in line with 3.41 the prior. It just ticked up, 1 basis point, 1 BIP as they call it. So that's the mortgage applications. Pretty rosy picture out of there. Market's recovering, but I think this China news and this Yuan devaluing has caused some tension in the market that's going to probably be priced in off the open. I'm looking for a little bit of a head fake rally to sell into. If we can't take out the high structures, I'm going to look for the first trade of the downside to the key support. If the support holds, I flip to the long. All right, if it doesn't, I'm still looking for a downside. So I guess I'm starting out with a slightly bearish outlook, but that will change if we hold support and buyers start to come in. I'll have no problem getting long. You don't want to start the day with an idea and end the day getting destroyed by that idea. Your idea has to change in the real time because the market does. All right, very important lesson. I can't stress enough. Top of the hour this morning, we got some news reports. Those news reports are Red Book chain store sales. That's actually already done, 9 a.m. 10 a.m., we have Richmond Fed manufacturing numbers. That's going to be a key indicator, high impact. Watch out. Top of the hour, manage that stop loss, manage the risk and your exposure on the trades. Be aware of it. 10 a.m., we also have the consumer confidence, not consumer confidence, but the State Street Investor Confidence Index, a little bit different. 11 a.m., an hour after that, survey of business uncertainty. A few auctions are coming up and result of them at 11:30 for fixed income traders. And then early afternoon, we got Fed's Bullard speaking. All right. And then we have another result of a $45 billion 5-year note auction, and then the Fed beige book at 2 p.m. So we got quite a bit of economic activity this morning. Top of the hour is the most important. 10 a.m. Keep your ears to the wire, watch the news, and your eyes on the market and trade it. All right, that's what I got for you guys. It's going to be an exciting session. Great time to be in our trading room. Got a lot of opportunity today. And look out. I think we're going to see some fireworks. I maintain my opinion that I think something is going to come out either towards the end of this week or over the weekend. All right, and I think it's going to be Trump imposing new tariffs, which would have a shock to the downside on the market. And so I'll tell you this, if you're long from below, all right, you've had a lot of opportunity to be long. I think the market's a little frothy at the top of the cappuccino, and I think we need to kind of settle down through the froth to find out where the actual coffee is. All right, if you keep taking a sip and you keep sipping froth, you're not going to be happy with the coffee shop. All right, eventually you hit the coffee. You're like, it's so satisfying. Same thing with the market. Let's see how much froth is built in. If you're long from below, great area to take profit. All right, this isn't solicitation or advice or recommendation. You're the decision maker here. You're at the helm. But I got to tell you, as institutional way of thinking would be, got to sell some here. You got to lighten the load heading into a weekend on a high, but not knowing what could come out of the news flow when the markets are closed. Love you guys. Have a great day. Today is also crude oil inventory. It's Wednesday, so we'll see no, it's not crude oil inventory. Tomorrow's crude oil inventory. Monday was a holiday, so no crude oil numbers. Usually at 10:30 we get them. No crude oil inventory report today. Monday was a holiday. It's pushed to tomorrow, Thursday at 11 a.m. All right. Love you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Be safe. Manage your risk. Trade like a trade pro. I appreciate you all. Virillo Trading said that NASDAQ's much weaker. Eyes on big tech. That's very important, Virillo. Very, very important observation. NASDAQ's been weaker yesterday as well. Right? But if you look at NASDAQ on a daily chart, it's been much stronger on the way up. NASDAQ erased its 2020 losses and went into positive territory like 2 weeks ago. And so when NASDAQ was churning much higher, all right, S&P wasn't. Now NASDAQ's underperforming, and I think that's okay. But it could signal an early risk-off sentiment. That is, traders saying, all right, I'm going to take profit, get out of risky assets, go in cash, which is a defensive play, and wait the next opportunity out, which tells you they're expecting a dip. All right, very awesome observation there. Thank you, Virillo. Appreciate that. All right, guys, take care. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate the love. If you guys like the video on YouTube, please hit the like button. It helps us help you. I look forward to tomorrow's session. Have a great rest of your day. Be careful. Manage your risk. Trade like a trade pro. Traders in the room, let's get started with some levels and analysis on the S&P and oil and queue up the next best trade. Let's get into it. I'll get started and then pass it over to Victoria. I got to move that mat. See that mat over there on YouTube? This is the map for the standing desk. It should be here. It looks extremely unorganized. All right, we'll clean that up for tomorrow. Love you guys. Over and out. Ciao. Okay, trade pros in the